So what are the goals and kind of the benchmarks that you're looking for to motivate somebody that's not a gym guy or not somebody that likes working out to hang on and see those results?
I'd actually say finding out that it needs to be a really deep why. What is your why? Why are you doing this? If you're doing it because you want a six-pack of abs so you can look good on the beach, it's not a good enough why. And at the moment when pizza's in front of you, or when it's a hard day and you don't feel like going to the gym, that's going to outdo your why, because abs on the beach, whatever. This is a hard day. I'm not going to the gym. So it's not a deep enough why. If we did not identify a deep enough why, they almost always fail.
Welcome to the Everyday Millionaire Show with Ryan Greenberg and Nick Galvez.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Millionaire Show. We're here with Tay Sweat, coming from Puerto Rico. How you doing, Tay?
Doing well, my man. How are you?
We're good. Just over here, freezing our butts off and thinking about how do we get to Puerto Rico too.
Absolutely. Come on down, man. It's nice and warm.
Which part of Puerto Rico are you in?
Dorado.
Okay.
Nice.
Dorado Beach.
That's awesome. So
is that where Jake Paul has a house?
Yes. So Jake Paul's here and a bunch of other people. So it's a lot of people here.
Nice.
It's a lot of crypto people down there, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Crypto, stocks. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So give us like a intro. Where did you originate from? How did you get into stocks? Did you go to school for this kind of thing? Or is this something that, kind of came out of the blue?
Actually, it came out of the blue, man. I did not see, let's say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if you told me I'd be trading stocks, I definitely couldn't see it. I call you a liar. Honestly, I started as a personal trainer. Back in 2008 crash, I lost my job. I was working a warehouse job, making decent money for, a younger guy. But of course, everybody pretty much got hit by this crash, 2008 crash. I lost my job, lost my house that I had, lost my car, literally went back to square one, and number one thing I kept telling myself was, I need to be in a position to control my own income. So no matter what happens, it's up to me, right? And I did a bunch of research on, entrepreneurs, business owners, millionaires. What do they do? And of course, I came by. I think everybody has read, at least the people who are at the next level, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think everybody has read the book or heard of it.
Yep.
And so, yeah, man, I come by the book, I read it, and it just unlocks pretty much everything in my head, And so, yeah, I start getting into personal training, nutrition. And the reason why is because maybe 4 years before this, prior, I was maybe 320 pounds. And I ended up losing 100 and maybe 30. So I'm thinking, hey, if I can do it for myself, I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there that need the same, love and care. Let me see if I can help those people. And that's pretty much how I got into personal training and nutrition.
That's pretty impressive, losing all that weight. What motivated you to lose it? Because there's people out there who maybe want to do it, but what gave you that motivation to continue doing it when you don't see results when you're working out for months, sometimes years?
Absolutely, man. I think for me, I'm pretty common in my thinking, very simple or logical, I guess is what most people would say. But my common sense is very common, is what I usually tell people. And so I'm watching people around me who look like me. They're overweight like me. They have, had diabetes, type 2 diabetes. I'm looking at the people who have the same things, but maybe 5-10 years older. And I'm noticing they're dying. They're, losing limbs or whatever it may be. I didn't want to go there. So I'm thinking, okay, they are 10 years ahead of where you're going. Do you want that result? And I didn't. So at that point, it became pretty much life or death. So I couldn't actually eat the pizza because it meant getting closer to death. I couldn't eat the cookies. I couldn't keep doing that because I felt that it would get me closer to dying. So that's how I was able to just stick with it, keep going. I carry my look. I still do the same thing. I keep my water with me, and honestly, man, that was the number one thing, is just not wanting to go down the same path I saw other people going down.
Nice. So did you have like goals and milestones when you're trying to lose all that weight? Because I know a lot of people that are overweight and they're, I feel like so I was actually a PE teacher. I was a gym teacher for
Mhm.
10 years of my life before I went full time in my businesses. And you see the same people that if you're a guy that works out. You're a guy that works out. You go to the gym every day. It's just like part of your routine. But if you're like 30, 40 years old and that's not part of your routine, it's really hard to make it part of your routine because you don't like it. Obviously, if you liked it, you'd do it, right? So
So
what are the goals and kind of the benchmarks that you're looking for to motivate somebody that's not a gym guy or not, somebody that likes working out to get those just to hang on and see those results?
that's a good question, man. I'd actually say finding out that it needs to be a really deep why. Like, what is your why? Why are you doing this? If you're doing it because you want a six pack of abs so you can look good on the beach, it's not a good enough why. And at the moment when pizza's in front of you, or when it's a hard day and you don't feel like going to the gym, that's going to outdo your why, because abs on the beach, whatever. This is a hard day. I'm not going to the gym. So it's not a deep enough why. And what I used to see from a lot of my clients was, if we did not identify deep enough why, they almost always failed. It can't be vanity reasons, from what I've noticed. So some of the whys that I saw got the best results were, of course, not wanting to die or extending your life at least. A few other things were, people wanted to be around and healthy for their kids or grandkids. So that's a deep enough why to when things get tough or you get challenged with, something you shouldn't be doing, your why is such a strong why that nothing can reach that level of why you should stick to it. So for me, it's always been, find the big why. Why do you want this goal? And it usually ends up helping a lot.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And are you somebody that likes to like write down your goals and make them visible for, for yourself?
Absolutely. It's funny you say that. I have my pad right next to me. So every day, probably for the last 14 years, I've written down my goals. I usually do about 5 different goals, and I try to write them down every day. And as I look back, I mean, they all pretty much came true. So I think it's a way to manifest what's in your head and bring it to reality. So yeah, that's exactly what I do.
Nice. So this is a question. So I was a, like I said, public school teacher for 10 years. And in that, there's a lot of people that are overweight that don't care about their health as much, or maybe they give up on their health a little bit because they have kids, they get busy, this and that. When I got into like full-time entrepreneurship and I started, meeting with investors and people that were highly successful, I felt like I found less and less people that were overweight, that more of these people that actually had less time in their day, arguably, than somebody that works just a regular 9 to 5, but they're somehow the ones that are in tip-top shape. And there hasn't been a lot of these like super high achieving entrepreneurs that I've met that have been really overweight. Do you see a correlation with that as well?
Absolutely. It's funny you say that, because one of the biggest sayings that I've heard probably for the last 10 years is, how you do anything is how you do everything. And I really believe that. And the reason I think we see this correlation is because if you're disciplined enough to show up, do the work, stay on the course to financially get to a certain level or the next level, then usually that same discipline, hard work, and stay in the course, it spills over into health. And I think also what we see in that is, we realize that as entrepreneurs, millionaires, whatever consider yourself, you notice a correlation between your health and your performance. So if I need to perform better, and I'm noticing that I'm getting sick often, I'm sluggish, I'm tired, I'm lethargic, whatever it may be, and I can't perform, which means I can't make as much money, then you start to make that shift. So that's a why. A lot of people's big why is I need to be able to perform. So I need to be able to perform. So, hey, maybe I should clean up my diet. I should sleep a little bit more. I should, go to the gym a little bit more often, because that is going to translate to more dollars. And that for me has always been that correlation that I see with a lot of my entrepreneur friends.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I agree with that as well. It's exercise is important. I feel like, there was a time where you're just, you're in the grit, you're in a day to day growing and building your business. Then you get to a point to where you have a little bit more freedom, a little bit more flexibility, and you want to focus more on your health at that point. And I feel like that's, a lot of entrepreneurs do. Maybe at the early stages, they're just grinding, 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 not really paying a lot of attention to it. Then they get to a point to where, like, wow, time is my biggest factor now, and that's my most valuable asset. So how can I extend my time? And that's by, eating right, getting healthy, and getting in good shape. That way you can live a longer and better life.
Absolutely.
So Tay, what when you're in stock investing, are you focusing on a certain sector? And was there like one trade that kind of changed your life, or one like group of trades that changed your life and set you, apart and gave you, some sort of cushion to keep building on? Or have you been just grinding away, at a reasonable rate at what people get? What do they get? 8 to 10% a year, naturally. Um, what's kind of your strategy, and what's been your experience with that?
And just before we get to that, can you tell us, like, how did you even like stumble upon, how'd you get into stocks? Was it somebody that you looked up to and you just decided, hey, I want to get involved with that? And then how was the transition from whatever you were doing prior to that to you doing that full time? What did that look like as well?
Absolutely. So as I went through the personal training journey, I get really good. I kind of cap out at maybe $80,000 a year as a trainer, which I think most high end trainers get to about 80 to 100K a year, and they pretty much get tapped out unless they innovate. So I kind of was one of the first trainers to go into the online space and create diet plans, workouts for my online for more online client base. And so I was able to go from 80,000 a year to so I started a membership, and I had 300 clients, at the highest, at my peak. I had 300 clients paying about $330 a month. And I was able to keep that going for a pretty good, amount of time. So I started making 7 figures a year. However, I was pretty smart with my money. I didn't, increase my lifestyle. I didn't go buy a Lamborghini. I didn't do any of that yet. And I'm still driving my Camry. I'm still, staying in the same apartment, but I have all this money left over. So I'm thinking to myself, hey, what do people with a lot of disposable income tend to do? They invest, real estate, stock market, or some type of other investment, oil, whatever it may be. So I'm asking myself. So actually, I wrote a goal down saying, "Hey, I need to enter the stock market, but I want someone who's really good, to teach me." And so I'm writing down, I am a stock investor and I am taught by the best. That was one of my goals, or one of my affirmations. And one day I get a call from a really good client, and now actually a really good friend of mine. Manny is what we call him. And Manny goes, "Hey, there's this guy who's so Manny's a surgeon, and Manny has a patient that he worked with, and he goes, hey, I have a high end patient that I work with, and he wants more of a personal training, approach to healing after his surgery. Go work with him." So I go work with him, and Manny tells me, "Don't charge him anything though." Huh? Okay. So I go in, I see who this guy is. His name is Charlie. Charlie tells me, "Hey, if you can help me and you can help me heal, I'll give you $5 million." Thinking, wait a minute, who does that? Like, and how much money do you have to be able to just throw that much money around? So I asked a few questions, and I come to realize that Charlie is a billionaire. Charlie's a billionaire, and he's a private equity investor. So I decided to continue to work with Charlie, no cost, but in exchange, I want him to teach me the market, teach me about equities, teach me about balance sheets, income statements, PEs, and things like that. And maybe I could take the money that I already have and I can grow it. So Charlie takes me up on that offer. He teaches me a few things, and I took it from there. Um, and basically, it reminds me of the, Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off type of thing, where it's like, he's giving me certain tasks to do that doesn't seem to have anything to do with stocks, but it did. It ended up coming together. And so that's what led me to this space. And as I took what he taught me and what I was learning just from just sheer experience and what we call back testing, so going and looking back into history, I realized that one of the best things to do if you're going to be in the stock market is to trade, especially if you want to trade in and out of the market, is to trade something with a lot of liquidity, which is what I do. And of course, that's going to be any type of index, the S&P 500, NASDAQ, IWM is something, the Russell, we trade that as well. And from there, I just started to take off. And I made a few single investing big pops. But the biggest lesson that I've learned, believe it or not, was a loss that I took. I took a really big loss. This was back in maybe 21. I started to short Google. I saw the market needed to fall, and I went to short Google. Why would I do that, right? And I put a really big position size on, and this was an option trade. So, of course, with options, for anybody who doesn't know, options expire. So you have an expiration date that you have to set and say, hey, this stock needs to go to this point by expiration date. Well, I didn't have enough time on the option, and I ended up losing almost $1.2 million.
Wow.
And
That's a big one.
Oh, yeah. And this loss was such a monumental time in my trading career, though, because the big losses from my experience show or expose where you're going wrong if you actually take time to go over. So I went over the trade. I decided to say, hey, I'm going to just look at this Google trade and see what I did wrong. And from there, it allowed me to see life so much clearer and things got so much better. Of course, I ended up making the money back, but I was grateful for the loss regardless, because it definitely helped, take me to where I needed to be.
So do you do day trading, or is it kind of like mainly options where you don't have to sit there and watch it all day long, for example?
Me personally, I no longer day trade because the risk to reward is horrible. If you're good, you may be able to pull 1 to, I don't know, 3. So for every dollar you put in, you may be able to make $3 on day trading. But with swing trading, I have certain plays that for every dollar I put in, I can make, I don't know, 50. so I like the risk to reward of swing trading. Now I do, I run a Discord where, some people still want to day trade. So I day trade for them, and I go live and I do live trading to where I show my charts and I say, hey, this is what, looks like it's going to go up. Looks like we should buy here, and then it should go up here. We'll take our 10, 20% and we'll get out of there. But me personally, I don't day trade because the risk to reward is not as good as swing trading.
And is it also just too time consuming as well?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I feel with swing trading, I have a fresh baby boy, 17 months, and I just want to hang out with him. I want to hang out with my wife. We travel. We live here in Puerto Rico once again, so we like to go out and just hang, have fun. And so with swing trading, I don't have to watch charts. I don't have to really be here, on a screen. I can place a trade, give it some time, and find out how long I need. And maybe I check it once a week, twice a week, and I just enjoy life and wait for the money to come, piling in. So yeah, I like it much better than, day trading, because it does require you watching the screen for, hours sometimes.
Right. So you said your biggest loss? What was your biggest pop?
My biggest pop over, I say it took about 4 to 6 months, was Bitcoin. I was in Bitcoin at, this was back in maybe late 20, or maybe mid 2020. So I got into Bitcoin when it fell down to about 3,300, and I'm thinking, oh, this is a great opportunity. So I started accumulating Bitcoin at 3,300, and then I bought some at 5,800, and I think it got up to 80 something, so maybe like 8,600. I bought more there, and I bought more at 11,000, and I stopped. I said, okay, that's it, and I just held it. And I think the highest I took it to was about 56, 57,000. And I started to take off the position, start unloading. And on the other side of it, I shorted Bitcoin at 60K. So I started shorting Bitcoin at 60K. I got, I got hit a little bit because it went up to 68,000, but it's fine. That's how I trade. And I took it down back to 20K. So that was all in all, it was about a $2.8 million profit. So
Nice.
I was happy with that. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Absolutely.
So Nick and I are real estate investors. That's what we do here. Nick owns a big portfolio of rentals. I have a couple of businesses based around buying, and selling real estate. Are you just doing stocks? Are you investing in real estate at all, or just sticking with the markets?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm actually this year, I've started getting a little more active with real estate. So I've closed, let's see, in the last 4 months, we closed 3 deals over the last 4 months. So I'm pretty happy about that. We bought a
Nice.
beachfront property, a beachfront condo here in Puerto Rico. Used it as pretty much a rental. It does really well. So people come down, they want to be on the beach. So we say, hey, let's get a property there. And then I have two more that I'm looking at locking in here in the next maybe 3 months. It's going to be a multifamily. I'm starting small, so 5 units, and then I want to maybe scale up to maybe 20 to 40 units.
And are they the 30 that you have? Are they all in Puerto Rico?
So two in Puerto Rico, one in Tennessee, actually. One
Okay.
in Tennessee. So Nashville is a very booming market. That's actually my
Mhm.
hometown. So I'm
Okay.
from Nashville, Tennessee. And so definitely looking to get more active in Nashville just because it's such a great opportunity there. It's amazing as far as the real estate market goes.
Nice. Yeah. So basically my business is I service out of state, out of country investors here in Baltimore because the margins are good. The kind of barrier to entry is low. You could still buy houses for 100K, put 50 into them, and kind of have a cash flowing rental. Somebody goes to Hopkins, do a lot of college stuff, and it's a good market here too. So definitely we should chat after the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I'm interested. Definitely. $100,000. That's
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah, exactly. So Nick has 90 of them
Yeah.
or 90
So I have
couple.
93 right now, and they're all throughout Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and like Ryan said, like the price point in Baltimore, I primarily do the Burr method. I buy a property that needs a lot of work and just renovate it, force that appreciation, and refinance it. And I can do that. Like you can do that all day long in certain areas in Baltimore City and you can be all in for 150,000. I like to buy properties for like 75, maybe put 50 into it, 45, 40, and just, that property will appraise for like 180. And
Wow.
you can just, cash refinance it rate and term at 75%
Yeah.
and just
I just
call it a day.
I just bought one. We bought one on this block, and then the agent actually contacted me from a listing up the block on the same road. We ended up buying it for 115 and put $18,000 into it. Barely needed anything. They just couldn't get to the finish line with their contractors.
Wow.
They had squatters that moved in briefly. We ended up getting them out, blah, 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 whatever. I was in it for like what was it, like 135 or whatever. I just got it appraised, but today was 242.
That's a,
Ooh,
that's a home run.
that's solid. That's a
So
home run.
yeah. So I refi, I pull out 175. I'm still cash flowing like $500 a month, and I'm like net positive,
Mhm.
on the deal. So
Absolutely. I
yeah, the
love it.
numbers, the numbers are good. The numbers are good. Um, so what does your daily routine look like? Like as somebody that's trading, you're obviously caring about your health. You have some sort of exercise routine. Now you have a child, a wife. What's your daily routine like?
So I usually try to get up before everybody starts pulling at me. That's the best time to get things done. So I'd say maybe 5 a.m., sometimes maybe a little bit earlier. I'll wake up. I try to get either some walking in or a run. I have a treadmill at the house, two. Actually, I have two treadmills. One is for running and things like that, and then I have one that I'm standing here at my desk. So I have a treadmill desk.
Nice.
So I run in the morning, maybe do push-ups, something like that, just to get me, up and activated. And when it's time to work and get on the computer, answer emails, of course, go live and day trade with my Discord community, I'm walking on this treadmill the whole time. And so I feel walking is probably one of the best things you can do just as a human for your health. So as far as the workout goes, that first part of the morning to wake me up and walking while I work is probably my go-to because I can burn 800 to maybe even 2,000 calories, depending on how long I walk every day, just walking. So that's definitely a big thing in my routine. After I usually try to get all of my work done earlier in the morning, and I reserve evenings for podcasting, meetings, things like that. So if I can, wrap everything up maybe by noon, 1 o'clock, I'm done day trading by then. I can usually eat my first meal because I do a little bit of intermittent fasting. Eat my first meal maybe around 1, 2 p.m., hang out with my family, just pretty much enjoy life until maybe it's time to do podcast or any meetings at 5, 6 p.m. So essentially that's my routine. And then I try to get in bed by 9, 10 o'clock.
Is it every day that you jump on the Discord to do the day trades with your the students?
Yeah. So pretty much anytime the market is open, I'm going to get on live. We're going to go over charts. I'm going to explain what's going on, why it's going on, where the market should be going, and how we can, make some money as it goes there. So pretty much as the market is open, I'm live. So yeah, that's exactly how it goes.
And the whole time the market's open.
But no, not the whole time. So we usually trade the morning session. So you have two
Okay.
sessions in the market, right? So you have morning session before noon, and then the market slows down at lunchtime. Of course, everybody goes out to lunch. Market slows down. So at lunch we get off because the sweet spot for trading usually is the morning session. So we usually do about 2.5 hours, and then we call it quits for the day.
So the guy that you connected with that you helped during his recovery process, so he taught you day trading and the like the options trading. Is that like specific to what he taught you?
So actually he is more so a shares, equities type of guy. So he just goes in and keeps it very simple. I want a piece of ownership of this company. And as the company does better, I do better. I make money. I took what he taught me and I started adding leverage to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, the options and of course, I trade futures. That came later as I got better with, charts and, knowing the direction of the market. So yeah.
Nice. So your prediction, like the market now, you think we're moving in a green direction, in a positive direction, or is this like that? What do they call it? I'm not big into stocks, but I know they said that false, false something, because we see all the green right now.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I think is going on. So I think we're going to get maybe a few more points up. And I'm thinking about the S&P 500 right now. S&P 500 may move up a few more points. I'd say maybe in the next quarter. I'd say by the end of Q1, I would expect us to pull, not really crash, but I expect a healthy pullback, a few hundred points on the S&P 500 that could create a really good buying opportunity. So I'd be I do what's called scaling, accumulating or scaling in, where you buy a fraction at a time. So if I have $10,000, instead of putting it all in at one position, I put in 2,000. And then if it falls some more, I put in another 2,000. And so I accumulate as it falls. So I think we're going to get a pretty good buying opportunity. And after that, I do see us going much higher over the next maybe 2 years.
I've been buying a lot of SQQ, the short on the So
Oh yeah.
I'm collecting a bunch of that. I got like 5 leaps. I only do leaps. I can't handle the short-term options, but I got 5 option contracts on that, and then I got like 1,500 shares that I just am like holding and waiting to see what happens.
Mhm.
That's I'm not
Smart.
as I'm not as positive on the market. I don't think in the next year. Over the next year, I think
Absolutely.
we'll see some drops. And I don't know anything about the stock market, so I'm just guessing.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
much, but I
Yeah.
remember when everything tanked when COVID happened, and that's when I started like engaging in the stock market. And anybody, a lot of people did who didn't know anything like myself, and a lot of people made a lot of money, and a lot of people lost a lot of money too because I was one of those that lost quite a bit of money. Everything kept going up and up and up, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna keep holding, and then it eventually, I'm like, man, and that
Absolutely.
happened with crypto as well, obviously.
Mhm. Absolutely. So I think you were spot on with the 2020, and I think we're going to see something similar to that this year. Something that I'll give you guys that I think can help you big time. There's something called a presidential cycle. And basically, what this tells us is that, of course, it's time for re-election. Hey, I need a strong, beautiful economy so I can
Yeah,
get back in office, right?
right.
So what we tend to see is on the election year, you're going to see a strong market because that gives better, presidents to say, hey, put me back in the seat, put me back in office. And not even the president itself, but just the party. So if Democrats are doing well for the market, they say, hey, put Democrats back in. So we're going to see almost, I personally think we're going to see something like 2020 where it crashes, freaks everybody out. Nobody wants to buy it because, of course, people don't buy when the market crashes. And then I think we'll get that run just like you did in 2020, just to justify the presidential cycle. And I think,
Mhm.
yeah, once we get the elections and everything, I think right after that, that's when the big fall really comes. So, so yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
I'm just
Nice.
looking forward to the lower interest rates.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
that's what's killing us right now is the interest rates kill the cash flow. So the cash
yeah,
buyers, yeah, anybody that has cash right now is great. They're killing it in in the real estate market.
yep,
But anybody that
absolutely,
has to take leverage is it's just crushing.
Mhm.
But you just
Absolutely.
gotta keep buying and know that eventually, eventually it's gonna come. It's got what goes up has to come down. That's how I think about it, even if it's wrong.
Yeah.
That's that's how I think about it. Um, so on Instagram, you have a fuck ton of followers. I got over a million followers. How'd you get all those followers? Was it just engaging in the stocks? Was it the personal training first? Like, how did you get all those followers?
So yeah, it actually started with the personal training first. I'd say this is back in the time because I've been on Instagram or social media period for about almost 14 years. And this is back in the early days of Instagram, the follow for follow. I don't know if you remember that. And on Instagram, they had this thing, it was an app called Crowdfire. And at the beginning of Crowdfire, before Instagram caught on to it, you could mass follow I think it was 5,000 people max is what you could follow. And those people would follow you back, and then you could mass unfollow them. And that was one way that I started doing it. And then from there, they shut Crowdfire down. I think I got up to maybe 80,000 followers just doing that over maybe a year. Um, and of course, if you give, I had to give really good value. So you have to give value. So I'm giving good value so the people stay and they engage. But after Instagram shut Crowdfire down, then that's when the early release of Instagram ads, Facebook ads started to come in. And so, of course, I jumped on the boat for that just to kind of see how it worked. And I spent a lot of money over time on just running ads. And so over time, if you spend, 6 figures a year running ads, those followers start to collect over time. So I'd say, yeah, over a 10-year period, I was able to collect, a few 100,000 people a year. And then I'd say once I got to about 400,000, the growth stopped. It was very, very tough to grow. Um, and then there was this popular thing at the time where you could get featured on a celebrities page. So Kim Kardashian was doing a lot of it. And I decided, hey, this looks like it works. So I started doing that as well. And Kim Kardashian decides, she said, hey, I'm going to do a giveaway, go follow all of these people, and one person will win this, right? So I did that for a while just to try it out. Yeah, I got, maybe a couple more 100,000 followers. And then from there, it was just a hard grind, just trying to get the last maybe 200,000, 300,000, which just came from ads. Once again, even to this day, I still run ads. So, the shortcuts, they work, but they weren't long lasting. So honestly, for anybody who's trying to get more followers, just post content, maybe run some ads. That's pretty much the best way to do it. That's pretty much worked the whole time.
Nice. Yeah, the following, it like the whole social media thing, getting the following is really, really tough because our audio listeners, we have a lot of audio listeners, and trying to get them now, because we started later doing video, getting them to
Right.
convert over to video is really, really tough. And
Yeah, absolutely.
we've been posting the content pretty religiously, and it's just the conversion is super, super tough from audio to, because podcasts especially are mostly, I feel like, taking in audio, but the
Right.
money's in
Yep.
the video. So
Yeah.
especially now, everything's
Mhm.
video, video, video. You can't do anything with just audio anymore. So that's where we've been like, just trying to get people to watch the videos is tough.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate anybody that's watching right now.
Absolutely, man. I think honestly, for me, what I've seen, unfortunately, work is it's becoming, or I'd say it's already been a money game. It's a big money game. And the reason why I say this is because they have what's called view campaigns. So basically, if you're on YouTube, for example, and you want more engagement as far as views, you can run a views campaign on YouTube. And basically, you just spend money, just spend more money, of course,
Right.
and that allows you to reach a larger audience. And of course, if you have to have so much stuff right. You have to have the first 3 seconds to catch people's attention, and then you have something to make them stay. But if you can do it right, you can get a good recipe, and run, put a few $1,000, depending on how high or fast you want to grow, a few $1,000 a day or a few $1,000 a week behind view campaigns. That tends to be like the sweet spot for a lot of people.
Okay. So just throw money at it, just like everything else.
That's
It's
right.
just more money. Everything just costs
That's right.
money. That's it.
Mhm.
So Tay, just one more question from me. Do you have goals for this year of, like, how do you set your goals for like trading? You're trying to make a percentage, or you're trying to make an amount, and or is it just like overall in your businesses? Like, how do you kind of quantify as an entrepreneur too? Like, coming from one where you have multiple businesses, it's like you kind of don't really ever know exactly how much you're making. Do you have like kind of a goal in mind?
Absolutely, man. So a lot of my goal is around buying more doors. So
We'll definitely
for
have to
me,
continue this
yeah,
conversation.
absolutely. So for me, especially knowing that we're in a high interest rate environment, it's accumulate as much money as possible and be one of the cash buyers, right?
Hmm.
Um, so for me is quantifying the money, or quantifying the doors first, which then helps me to quantify how much I need to make. So for me, my goal leaving this year should be, I want 100 doors. That's the first goal. If I can reach 100 doors, I'd feel good about it. I want to catch up to my man 90. Was it 93? I need
93.
to get a
Yeah.
yeah. I need to get
He's
up
had
there.
5 years to do it, though. He's had 5 years, so
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically one of the metrics that I'm using. If I can get 93 doors, I feel like the man. But honestly, as I continue with my trading journey, ultimately is I want to do more as far as percentage wise. I want to do more on my performance with making more and keeping more, because with trading it's very up and down. You can win a lot and then you can lose a lot of it if you're not careful. So risk management is a huge thing for me over the last maybe 3 years since I took that big $1.2 million loss. So risk management, making more money but keeping more of what I make. So getting it out of the stock market and pushing it over to real estate is a big deal.
Nice.
That's smart.
Nice. Well, you got anything else, Nick? I appreciate Tay. I learned a lot about the definitely about the market. We're gonna have to continue this conversation a bit off air.
Yeah, I have one more question as well. So the program you have for the students, do you have a goal for that? Like, do you have a number of people that you want to teach what you're doing?
Absolutely. For me personally, my goal is, so right now we have about, I say about 300 people who show up live every day, paying members. And essentially, if I could get that to 10x, I want a 10x. And the reason why I say 10x is because I've always had a goal to get 3,000 loyal investors on my team. And the reason why is because if I get 3,000 people who show up consistently, learn how to trade, learn how to, do things right, bigger thinking, we could start some type of crowdfunding or some type of funding group where we have 3,000 members who could put in, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 each. And now we can go buy more doors.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3,000 is my goal.
So last question for me. I think it's my last question. So you mentioned affirmations earlier. Did you go to any type of like events or meetups that kind of like put you in that mindset at an earlier stage in your your career?
Yeah, absolutely. I try to get around like minds as often as possible. So I'd say the last one I went to was an entrepreneurship mastermind. This was in Mexico, I believe. That was the one in Mexico. So, but yeah, I try to get around, like mind CEOs, entrepreneurs, investors, because honestly, and I'm sure you guys know this, when you are killing it, 93 doors or whatnot, it's hard to talk to, quote unquote, normal people because their thinking is different. You're thinking about getting as much money as possible so you can go buy more doors. They're thinking about getting as much money as possible so they can go buy some material thing, right? So we see often this disconnect with normal, America and the entrepreneur slash investor. So yeah, getting around more.
I feel like not even just the material thing. A lot of people say, well, I want to do this so I don't have to work anymore. But really, when you do what we're doing, you're really just working more. You're like literally signing up to work harder and not work less. So I think that's the common kind of misconception,
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And so, yeah, people think they don't want to work. They just don't want to do what they're currently doing. Right. But when you find something that you love, so for example, what we do, I'm never stopping. Right. I'll always buy more doors. I'll always trade the stock market. That's just what I do. So it's I think finding your thing so that you can enjoy what you're doing. So yeah, man. For us, being more on the like mind side, I definitely look to get, with more people who think like us and just, bounce ideas off each other, talk about growth strategies. So yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
So I've only been to Puerto Rico once, and that was in 2013. But my next visit, I'm gonna hit you up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll have to get down there. I actually just had a client in Puerto Rico that we did some property management stuff for. And it was the same thing. I think they created, like, you ever heard of that the imperfect produce business? No. Where they sell like fruit that doesn't make it to the grocery store.
Oh wow.
So and it's like a membership, and they send all this like misformed fruit, but it's fine, or like vegetables, but it's fine to eat, but it just can't sell at the store because it's not pretty enough. And they like resold it, and they were basically selling a product they were getting for almost free, and they made a boatload of money. And they had like 125 properties, and I was managing a part of their portfolio for a short period of time. So yeah, they're down in Puerto Rico as well.
Wow,
I think that was their business. That's what I think. Pretty sure.
Yeah, you taught me something new today.
Yeah. I know that's a real business. I'm pretty sure that's the business they ran. It was like getting in free fruit and vegetables and selling. It was genius. Like, damn,
wow,
damn, why couldn't I think of that? I'm doing adult
seriously.
Yeah. Well, everybody, this should come out. We have an event coming up on January 11th, so make sure you're there. CVP's in Towson. And Tay, where can everybody find you on Instagram? It's at Tay Sweat. I mean, look at it on Instagram. He's there. you're there. I looked. So awesome, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll stick around for a second. We'll chat a little bit more.
Most
All right,
definitely.
guys.